Sorry guys, I was reading as fast as possible. Dear Lord. Thank you for your patience. Okay. And you're good. All right, we're all good. All right. Unfinished business and business arising from the minutes, 7.1 recommendation.
The council approves the letter of support for Hudson's Hope, Bill 34.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Miss Sophie, can you make that Zoom screen large again so I can see it? Councillor Woodall has any questions? Thank you. Awesome. Okay, any comments or concerns on the letter? I think it looks great.
It's good to me.
Short, sweet, and to the point. Okay. All right. All those in favor of sending this out to Premier Eby? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. All right. Number 8, new business, 8.1 recommendation.
Recommend the council recommends staff issue a development variance permit to 4821 54th Avenue, Puscoopi, PID 032-148-054.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, thank you. Any discussion? Further explanation?
Yes, please. Yes.
So the whole point to bringing this back was there was a next step. Once council approved the DBP at the last meeting, we had to go out to residents that were within 100 meters of this property just to make sure that there was no objections to it, and there being no objections to the DBP, I make the recommendation that council grants the DBP.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we grant the DBP.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Rabble. Any discussion on granting the DBP? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. All right. 8.2 recommendations.
The council receives the report regarding spring cleanup for discussion.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Yes, I think that this is great. This actually takes a large burden off of our community and our staff, as you know, the garbage tends to build up in the ditches and the roadways. It tends to cause problems, and it's added stuff for our guys. So, and I know in the past our school has used the money that they've received from doing the spring cleanup to help pay for field trips. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like pays back to the community as well, which is fantastic. So I think it would be something fantastic to go forward with. Councillor Rabble?
I agree. I think it's a wonderful way where folks can, you know, help clean things up. It's unfortunate the garbage got blown around. It's pretty windy. I've seen trash bags just in the fences and stuff, but I see it as a great opportunity for community organizations to raise, essentially fundraise and gain donations and helping better the community. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think we should continue with this event.
Okay, well, I'd like to put the motion on the floor then that we continue with the spring cleanup event going forward. Is that good enough, Ms. Stokes? Can I get a seconder on that motion? Okay. Councillor Johnston, thank you. Okay, any other question on going forward with that? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. All right. 8.3 recommendation.
Recommend the council receives this report regarding the command truck for discussion, as the mayor has requested that it be brought back for reconsideration.
Can I get a seconder on that, please?
Councillor Woodell?
So if nobody's willing to second.
Oh. Yeah, I'm opposed to bringing it back for discussion.
Okay, so if nobody's willing to second it, it will not go on the floor. So another round for second. Okay, all right, so moving on to 8.4 recommendation.
Recommend the council receives the museum budget for reconsideration at the request of the mayor.
Okay, can I get a second on that? Okay, no one is willing to second. Item cannot be brought up to the floor for discussion. Okay, moving on. 8.5 recommendation.
That council receives the amended library budget for consideration.
Can I get a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second that because we haven't had discussion on the library as of yet.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Ravel?
As I had brought forward some of the background information in my report last council meeting, essentially the library and the library board have rejigged to represent current account balances, the consideration that the library enhancement grant, from my understanding, if I'm quoting that correctly, that was a one-time thing. Well, it was 2 different deposits, but it's not happening in the future. It's not meant for existing operational funding. It is not intended to replace municipal grant funding. It is simply to enhance the library, including extending hours, purchasing more books, more shelves, comfy spaces for reading, things of that nature, not to replace existing operational funding. And that, as per their a motion back in 2018, they must maintain a contingency fund, and that they've included wine for books in their budget considerations, and that they've considered other expenditures. So this is the budget that the library board wishes to bring forward as a partially funded village service.
So with your mention of this money that they've received with this grant money, have they done anything with it so far since they received it?
In response, essentially, this money was somewhat of a surprise. Just as the village received $813,000 and we slid that into reserves, the library has earmarked that money for future development.
Okay.
In my role as liaison, I will continue to work with the library board and that money must actually be spent within 3 years.
Okay.
So there's an annual reporting requirement. At the end of 3 years, that money must be spent and reported on back to the province. So the board will be obligated to proceed forward with spending that money on capital investments, not operating investments. That is absolutely something I'm willing to assist.
And is that something that they've mentioned, like purchasing new furniture or adding in a comfier reading space that you had mentioned, or doing any updating to the space that hasn't been really updated or changed? Yes.
As a decision has not been rendered by the board pertaining to that specific request, I can't comment because there's no decision that's been rendered by the board. Because the money has been received, and it was only received this previous fiscal, they have put it aside. The board will certainly work on a plan to allocate those funds appropriately to the betterment of the village.
Ms. McNair, so the Pouce Coupe Public Library is asking for $97,000, am I correct?
Yeah. Or 90.
Okay. I know that the previous items that I was hoping to have up for discussion and reconsideration were not discussed. I am extremely concerned about the budget that we do currently have. The more things that we continue to add to this budget increases the $380,000 that we need to find a way to make up, and it doesn't currently feel like council is finding a way to make up that money. They're just sort of continuously to spend on it. So I do have a big concern, and had we sort of tried to wiggle things within each area, whether it be the fire department, the museum, and the public library, to create more of a balance, that's not currently happening, and that's where my big concern is. I don't know where we're going to find a way to make up $380,000 is what we're currently looking to make up. And that's where my concern is, especially with some of the big things we do have coming up, such as our asset management retirement fund, our culvert upgrades that need to be happening, our road maintenance and paving that needs to be going on, like our flood mitigation that has never been put into play and is still something that needs to be worked on as well. I have a hard time approving a $97,000 budget for the Pouce Coupe Public Library when we're already currently trying to find a way to make up $380,000. I don't know. I'm coming to you. I'm trying everything I possibly can, but as I said, I'm not really seeing much pullback on anything. I do see your hand, Councillor Woodall. I'll get right to you. My other concern is that we are one of the few municipalities that does offer free access to our grant writer. And currently, I'm not seeing grants come out of our non-for-profits because they don't have to look for grants because we're fully funding them. And every time we fully fund them, they will never have to go search out this money themselves, and we offer them access to a free grant writer. We have somebody who's willing to work with them at no cost to the village, but why would they try to access money through the province or through any other means when we're continuously giving them their full year's budget? They have no reason to go out and look. And so that's a bit of my other concern there. Councillor Rebel, I am going to get to him. I'm going to get to Councillor Woodall first. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate that. Councillor Woodall?
So I'm just looking at what we approved last time. We approved $63,000 for the museum. What if we were to propose, and would it be possible for the library this year if we were to make their, I guess, the amount of financial support to them the same as what we gave to the museum this year?
My concern with that, Councillor Woodall, is that doesn't even cover the cost of the wage of the library director. So, and grants don't technically cover wage. I think if we had looked, what I was thinking of proposing is covering the budget cost of the wage of the director, and then hoping that from there they would go out and seek those funds themselves, whether it be through the access to our grant writer or through fundraising, which many other libraries do as well. They can't do that without their director, and so I do think it is important that we do cover the wage of the director, which I think is $70,000. Am I correct? $73,000 for the year. Yeah. Councillor Rebel.
The library does currently receive 4 different regular grant funds and is appreciative of the grant writer. And the 5th one that was received previously was much to their surprise. Essentially though, if we look at this budget as presented, unfortunately things, as you had mentioned, like the director wage, the assistant wage, those are not covered by grants. Various insurances, WCB, the audit price has gone up from 82 to 87.
Which is insane,
yes.
By the way.
But that's not covered by grants, and it's extremely unfortunate. The thing that I caution is, to sustain the service, they're already, they've got a person, and wages are expensive. Wages are a majority of the budget, but the thing is, when you've got the obligations of maintaining your book stock, maintaining insurances, the only spot that they could possibly cut from would be the events that they host for the community, which are the various Easters, Easter Remembrance Day, Halloween, Doodlebug, reading nights, magic shows, book for babies, Christmas light up, July 1st. Unfortunately, my concern would be that might be the budget lines that they'll have to cut from if it's to be reduced. And I understand that 91,233 sounds quite hefty. In the past, as per the document presented, it looked as though the municipal grant was actually 107 in the 2 prior years to 2023. And only in the past year did we go down to 45,000 when this council came into action, into force. So my concern would be if we were to reduce it to say 63, equivalent to the museum, I don't know where they would cut from, because they won't be able to make up those operating expenses with grants. It would simply be the disillusion and stopping of community events. So I'm wondering what the avenue forward would be. This is what they proposed. The museum provided 3 different options. Unfortunately, the library really doesn't have those different scenarios. They've got a regular person that works there, and we are also bound by an agreement with the school with the times that we operate our municipal library, and then we're also bound by the Library Act and some other pieces that qualify us for these grants.
So there are 2 things within what you said that I'd just like to point out. So one is that last year in our budget, we had budgeted money every month that we had given to the Pouce Coupe Public Library to hold events within the community center free of charge. It's being paid for by us as the village to support them hosting events. When I looked, this money was received every single month, and there was not an event every month, and so there was a bit of a surplus on that end, and that was not in this budget, which I was very surprised by, because I know that they did not hold an event in the community center every month, not that I witnessed anyway. The other thing is that while we are in constraints with the hours, we as a municipality do not control the Pouce Public Library Board, but our public library is open until 7 p.m. every evening, and is almost open the same amount of time that the Dawson Creek Public Library is staying open. So the Dawson Creek Public Library is almost open the exact same amount as the Pouce Public Library, yet we have 800 people in our community, and they have almost 15,000. And so I just, while we have no control over the hours in which they are running, that's another thing that I'm looking at going, okay, well, we have to find a way to make this budget work. As I said, that is one of my largest concerns. We do have to find a way to make up this money. Currently, there have been no steps towards finding a way to make up this money. I do understand what Councillor Whittle is saying. I think the concern, if we drop it down to 60,000 again, I think we should cover the wage of the director, so that the director, has that security and can continue working within the library, and keep searching for grants and keep finding ways to fundraise and keep, because it is the director that runs the Pouce Public Library. No matter the hours, whether they're open 40 hours a week or 20, whether she has an assistant or doesn't matter. It's the director who is the one that is directing that entire building or space, whatever. But I think we should start there, and so my recommendation to council would be to approve the budget for the 73,000. I can't remember exactly how much that is.
I think it was right on 70.
Yeah, so for the 73,000, and find ways to support our public library here within Pouce Coupe any way we can. But again, we have a very large amount of money that we need to make up in this budget, and I'm really not seeing a lot of other places that we can begin making it up. Councillor Rabble.
So my hope is that each person in this village has unfettered access to books, knowledge products. I see the place of the library to be a community service that doesn't have barriers in the way of providing educational resources for folks. I've seen kids there hanging out as a place where they can feel comfortable and loved and hang out and learn and read books. The care and attention that the folks there at the library give to each person is exceptional. I believe it to be a fundamental community service that we provide. And I'm not sure if the $18,000 savings would make up for the loss that would be wrought by that reduction. Is it possible then, since it was a recommendation, is it possible then that we receive this as information and I engage in discussions with the library board to see what alterations might be possible?
That is another option. I agree, $18,000 isn't going to seem like much compared to the large deficit that we're facing, but it's better than nothing, which right now we're facing nothing coming off of that money. So it's a drop in the bucket, but at least I can say it's something. So I don't know, we're sort of at a standstill. I would like to make a completely different motion. Are you making a motion to wait? Is that a motion that you're making? Okay.
I'd like to make the motion that we receive the amended library budget as information, and that I, through my portfolio as a liaison to the library board, engage in conversation with the library board to discuss an alternative budget that can be represented to council. However, I do understand, and then that's the motion, I do understand that there's the pertinence, the urgency of the May 15th deadline for our provincial submission of this budget, and that we only have a limited amount of time.
We only have till the next meeting, because we have to do the bylaws. So we have till April 17th. And then they need to pass stuff, because we gotta get the bylaws written, and they have to be passed by the 15th.
Councilor Rebel is right in the middle of a motion, so I will, I don't know if there's any.
The first portion was the motion, essentially accepted as information. I engage in conversation with the board and director and see if we can find a better number.
Okay, can I get a seconder for that motion? Councilor Johnston. I'm gonna speak out in opposition of that motion. This is our second, budget from the Pouce Coupe Public Library in 3 months. We can't keep going back and forth. Again, this budget does need to be completed by May 15th. We are very far behind in the budget process. We should be far further ahead than we are, and I'm a bit concerned about that as well. And so I think at this point in time, we should continue with my recommendation, which is to approve the budget for $73,000. So if there's any other discussion on Councilor Rabel's motion, is there any other discussion? Councilor Whittle, do you have a comment or anything?
Comments?
No? Okay. All right, I'm going to call all those in favor of Councilor Rabel's motion. All those opposed? Councilor Whittle, are you opposed or in favor?
Opposed?
Opposed. Okay.
Do the opposed want it noted?
Does the opposed want to be noted?
No.
Okay. I would like to put the motion on the floor that we approve the Pouce Coupe Public Library budget for $73,000 for this year. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Johnston, thank you. Any discussion? Councilor Rabel?
I believe that the number of 73,000 to be rather arbitrary and not fitting with what the board has recommended to the village. I'm concerned as to how they will make up this shortfall. And I believe that it will come from community events.
Any other discussion regarding the motion? All those in favor?
Councilor Waddell, how are you
Councilor
voting?
Whittle, can I get a
In favor?
thank you? All those opposed? Would you-
Noted.
Noted, thank you very much. Okay, moving forward. Alrighty, 8.6 recommendation.
Recommend the council receives the conceptual drawings for the playground next to the office for discussion and or consideration.
Can I get a seconder? Nobody's willing to second it?
I'll second it.
Oh, thank you, Councilor Rebel. With the playground layout, I'd just like to say I really like layout option number 1. I think this is far more in our price range with the amount of the grants and funding that we are going to be seeking. It would be much more feasible for us to fund the park upgrade using grants and local donation seeking with a budget of this amount higher than the others. In talking with staff, we will be applying for grants as well as local and oil and gas companies. I've spoken to multiple companies myself throughout the past year. I've had numerous conversations with companies such as North River, Pembina, Energetic, Ovintiv, First Lift Energy regarding the support of the community building this accessible park, and these will be companies I will be reaching out to. They were just waiting for us to bring forward the drafts. And I've also talked with staff about working together to apply and meet with local companies to help attain funding for this park. So if all goes well, we should be able to get the majority of this park funded through local companies and grants. So that is the overall goal. The goal is to seek out support and have that fund this accessible park rather than have it be community funded. Councillor Whittle?
Yeah, so I just want to draw your guys' attention to the last page of the report that was submitted by Urban Systems with the conceptual drawings. The cost estimate that we received does not include abandonment of existing gas infrastructure that's on that lot, as well as potential electrical or other concerns. So even though it's a great number compared to the others, it's a great layout. I have no objections to it. I know we got grant money coming in to do it. We also need to take in those other considerations while budgeting for this project.
Councillor Whittle, can you just draw my attention to what number you're looking at? Sorry there.
3.0 assumptions and include-
So it's in Schedule I, right?
No, page 115.
Yeah, it's the last page of the report. I'm just trying to find the exact page.
Page 115.
Okay.
Assumptions and exclusions. 3.0.
Page 115.
Agenda page 115, top right hand side.
Under utility charge?
Assumptions and exclusions.
Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you.
Oh my God.
And I can
throw me a
speak.
bone.
I can speak to some of this. So right here,
Just before appendix.
before the appendix A.
Thank you.
Page is at 58 or something.
58, perfect. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I don't know, I'm still trying to find page.
58.
Can I,
it's 58.
can I speak to this?
Yes, you sure can, Ms. Stokes, thank
So-
you.
The drawing that Mayor Beach is referring to, the first one, option A, you'll see two red lines on there, that's the gas line. The idea of this conceptual drawing is that we don't have to touch it. It stays the way it is right now, so there's no cost involved there. Lighting, that's an option. When Urban Systems did the drawing, they asked if we wanted more lighting included. We said no, because we had a light installed last year in the park. A big one overhanging, so there won't be any of those costs there. As far as washrooms and stuff, those costs are only if you go with option number 3, that would anticipate having a water park at a future date.
Which we're not currently looking at doing. In Schedule A, there would be no water park, so it would take away that option. But as I said, it is the most affordable for the community, and I think we'd have far better luck accessing grants that actually make a dent in this amount than if we looked at over the 862,000. And so that's why I think Schedule or option 1 would be our best option. Councillor Rabble?
I think this would be a fantastic opportunity to have a open house for the community to come in and voice which options they would prefer and potentially provide insights and concepts that we hadn't considered yet.
I think my fear about doing that is they're all gonna want the one with the water park and we can't afford it. I get what you're saying. I just think that they're all gonna think the one with the water park is the best idea, because it's definitely the funnest and it's the coolest, but it is very expensive, and the chance of the municipality affording that is very slim to none. And so I would hate to give them beautiful options that we can't actually truly afford. Right, Ms. McNair? She's like, I am saying nothing. So that's my only concern. I totally get where you are coming from. This is definitely one of those ideas that I wanted to see within our community for a long time, but I also understand that it needs to be within our budget. And so that's really what Urban was sort of trying to do with us. So they were trying to give us something that's a bit more within our budget of grants and revenue from outside companies versus going all the way and preparing for a splash park in the future. Councillor Rapp.
I believe we should host an open house so that the public has an opportunity to convey what they'd like to see, and we could move forward in that regard. I think we should have an open house.
Okay. Ms. Stokes, could we this evening make a motion towards applying for grants, so we can start applying for grants for this?
Not trying to decide what's going on. It's contradictory with your,
Was yours a motion?
no?
No?
But
Oh,
I
okay,
can-
yeah.
Certainly.
You're more than welcome to, yes, Councillor Rebel.
I make the motion that before council makes a decision on this playground upgrade, that we host an opportunity or two, open house style, for the community to come in and voice some of their opinions and concerns and ideas and life stories, so that we can better understand what would be best suited for the community, what their needs are. You know, did we consider a baby swing? Did we consider, you know, how the path would work with strollers or wheelchairs? All
Yes,
these,
all in there, yeah.
of course, but public engagement would be most beneficial, because it would give the public an opportunity to say, hey, what about this? What about that? And I think that they would be reasonable and proportional to what our capacity is at this time. I think the public would be understanding of that. And I think it would be the best course forward before we arbitrarily make a decision from 3 drawings.
Can I get a seconder on that motion? Okay,
Huh.
nobody is second.
I'll second that motion just for some discussion here.
Okay, perfect. And so the motion is now on the floor, moving into discussion. My concern with doing that is we're gonna slow down the process and lose access to grants. Grants, as we know, do come and go. Windows open and close within grants, and the sooner we can begin approaching companies and applying for grants, the better. I know that Urban System has given us the best option when it comes to an accessibility park. If you look at option A, it's got proper swings, it's got the rubber matting, it's got the trail going around it, that's for strollers and bikes with the special matting as well. It's got accessible playground equipment, it's got a shaded area, it's kind of got everything that, you know, we could possibly think of. So at this point in time, I would like to continue with beginning to start looking for grants if council is in favor of that, rather than kind of bring it back out to the public again. But I do understand where you are coming from, Councilor Rabble. Ms. Stokes?
I just want to say that we're doing this because of the budget, and council is concerned about cutting costs for things like food and engagements. And if you're gonna have an open house, you're gonna have to pay employees overtime to be there at this open house. And you're gonna want food there, and you're gonna want.
Good point. Councilor Whittle?
So building kind of off the idea that Councillor Rabble has, and then keeping in mind, you know, staff time and cost, is it something to potentially consider maybe doing a survey on our one of our social media pages or on our website and putting the options out there, and if people that are interested, they can voice their opinions on it, or, you know, do a vote online for what they like, because that would then, you know, save us some money going out to public consultation. We still get some feedback on kind of what the public's interested in. It doesn't really slow us down, but then they get this kind of see what the options are and what the budget options are.
Again, I think my biggest concern with that is really the budget option is kind of option 1. We don't really have a ton of money within the community to fund this. It's going to be the majority of it is going to have to be grant funded and going out to different companies. And so, as I said, my concern with putting it out to the public is not that I don't want the input. It's that, you know, we need to be realistic on what we can afford, and this is what we can afford to do with grant money and access to oil and gas money. So, Councillor Rada.
What is the projected lifespan of this park infrastructure?
Well, the one that's next door right now was put in like 92.
Okay. So let's say 30 years. Let's say you live next door to an almost $1 million park that was put in and it will be there for 30 years. And you didn't get the opportunity to voice something that now you must deal with for 30 years. Maybe the open house might not be the best, but what I'm saying is opportunity for the public to have input. Maybe we put up some boards with the pictures printed out here in the village office, so during regular business hours, people can put up post-it notes with their ideas and concepts. Maybe we have a survey like Councillor Whittle has suggested in the Village Voice and on the website, a simple survey where we ask for people's ideas and inputs, putting up the pictures as well there. I think if we provide a forum for folks to voice their ideas, we'll be a better outcome in the long run, for sure.
No, as I said, my concern is that sounds expensive, but I'm going to put the question to the floor, and then that way everybody can vote and we can move forward. You have a last question, Councillor Rabble?
In light of the discussion, if I may, I'd like to amend my original motion
Oh, okay.
to change it from being an open house to forms of public engagement that include a survey and some sort of poster boards and places for people to write on and whatnot available in the public office or available in the village office during operating hours.
You get Emma Stokes? Sure. Seconder on the amendment?
It's very cost effective, I believe.
No one's willing to second the amendment?
So what I'd like that, but my concern is again, the printing cost of poster boards and the staff time to that. The online is fairly minimal in the grand scheme of things when we're doing updates, but the poster boards and the printing for that is again costing us more money.
So have you seconded that motion, Councillor Whittle, or not? The amendment, sorry.
Not as it currently sits, no.
Okay. Would you like to adjust your amendment, or the original motion is still on the floor? Councillor Rebel.
It's $1 million park. A poster board is a drop in the bucket at this point. I'd rather $1 million mistake be corrected with a poster board that costs $5 from the dollar store. Anyways, I don't mean to get defensive about it, but I'm simply stating that there is the need, I'll put it simply, there's the need for public input. I wish for an opportunity for public input regarding these parks. I am not prejudiced to which form that is conveyed in. There simply must be public input before we construct $1 million park.
Ms. Stokes, do you
I'd be okay with Marcel's online stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So have you seconded the amendment to make it online?
I'm
Just for the online, not for the poster boards and that.
So an amendment, yeah.
At least we'll get some teeth in it.
Is that clear, Ms.
No,
Stokes?
none of it's clear, but just carry on.
Okay. Councillor Rattle.
Therefore, in light of the discussion, I amend my amended motion to
Oh my God, your original amendment did not go through. This is your first original amendment.
Anywho, so essentially it would, I guess, be a survey available to the public online.
Okay. All right.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Any other discussion? Okay, I'm going to call a question. All those in favor?
In favor?
Okay, and I'm opposed. I'd like the opposed noted, please. And that passes. Can we, this survey is going to slow everything down, so staff can't begin looking for grant money until after the survey is now started, right? Perfect. Okay. All right, we're going to move to 8.7 recommendation.
I recommend that council receives the third draft of the finance plan 2024-2028 for discussion.
Can I get a seconder? Nobody's going to second that, so we're not going to look at the third draft?
I'll second it for discussion.
Thank you. Seconded by
Hey,
Councillor-
point of order. I'd like to make a motion that we continue this meeting past 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Councillor Whittle. Can I get a seconder? All those in favor of continuing past 9 p.m.? Unanimous and carried. Okay, discussion. So, as I've stated before, I am very concerned about how we are going to find a way to make up the funds that are currently within our report. There are some recommendations that have been made by our consultant. At this point in time, I'm not seeing that those recommendations have been taken into consideration. I'm not quite sure what more we can do. Councillor Rabel?
For clarification, on page 75, the Schedule A of the 2024 to 2028 financial plan, the municipal property taxes, it appears as though that it would go from the 2023 budget to the 2024 forecast. It appears as though it's a 6%, whereas this plan appears to propose a 10% increase. And then every successive year, 25, 26, 27, 28, appears to be between 8.3 and 8.8%, simply taking those gross numbers and comparing them to the year prior, which is a very crude measurement, but it appears as though this Schedule A presents a 6% tax increase, whereas the overview says 10%. Am I clear in that understanding?
So I can see your interpretation of it. It is still with a 10% tax increase, but there's a decrease in revenue from, there's a small decrease in Peterson, there's a small decrease in your 1% tax, because that 680 or the 716 includes other things. It includes your parcel taxes. It includes the 1% utility tax. And so that's why the difference there. It's still a 10% tax increase, but year over year, it doesn't look that way.
Thank you, Mr. McPhail. I was looking on Schedule A, and at the bottom under the 2024 forecast, it does show a surplus of 29,852. Is this do we only reach this if we misuse the PRA money again?
Yeah.
Because
so you're using about, so if you include you're spending, now how to word this. So the budget right now includes 2.4 million for your lagoon. So that's fully funded on that. It's also funding $470,000 for capital. That's out of the PRA money. And then there's that small surplus of just under 30,000 there.
And
so you're,
the only way that surplus is to misuse the PRA money again.
No, yeah, you're not aligning it with the, you're still going about 600 if you include, and I'm again going by memory, which I apologize for, but you're looking at about $100,000 from the water fees. We can use the monies that we charge to our Dawson Creek charges us for capital and use that for the PRA. So if we do that plus the 500,000, you're looking at about $600,000 right now towards, or close to 600,000 towards your PRA money. So Trina, I don't have the dollars, the report in front of me. How much is it this year for the PRA monies that we're supposed to devote to capital? Is it 830?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so you're about $230,000 shy
For the capital.
for capital budget.
Yeah, because it's going into operations.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought. Thank you. Councillor Whittle, you have a question?
Yeah, just for clarification, Mr. McPhail, our deficit that we're looking at, that 600,000, that's in operational expenses, not on capital. So we're offside on our operational, but we're not offside on our capital. My understanding, right?
We're offside on our capital budget, and we're using the PRA. We're still using the PRA monies in this budget to fund additional operating.
Yeah, so it's our operational that we're really short on, and we're having to take money from our capital budget to cover the shortfalls in our operations.
Yes.
And it is our museum and our library and our fire department and new command trucks and our staffing and everything that comes out of our operational budget.
So, Mayor Veach, I'd like to actually bring your attention to page 72 of the agenda under capital budget items. And I do believe that fire truck is a capital budget item, not an operational expense. Yeah. So therefore that new command truck that we're looking at for the fire department would not be an offsite expense.
And so, Mr. McPhail, I noticed that this does not include the previously planned $179,000, which we are trying to put into reserves year over year. Am I correct?
Correct.
So we will be putting no money into reserves for the Village of Poughkeepsie for this year?
No. Well, no, because $30,000 if you approve this budget.
If we approve staying offside with the PRA. My biggest concern is that when this council was voted in, everybody all had the same agreement. We would work hard to be on side with the PRA. We would work toward being sustainable. We would work towards financial stewardship, and I'm not seeing that in this budget, and I have not seen it for the past few weeks. I must be honest, I'm incredibly frustrated. Councillor Ravel, you have a question?
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, specific budget line for development services, it appears to be 10,000 budgeted previously, not used in 23, goes to 50,000 for 24, and then appears to stay steady somewhere around 10,000 for the next coming years.
Council
That's for your ECDF
Yeah.
position.
Yes, we've talked about that before, yeah, that's the ECDEV position.
Simply clarification for the public record.
Oh, yes, okay. Councillor Whittle, you have a question?
Yeah, actually, two things. So one, the recommendations which you referred to that Mr. McPhail suggested to us on page 74 of our agenda, those have been discussed. Unfortunately, some of those we can't discuss in this forum. So those have been explored and looked at. The other part of that as well was, 1 second, sorry, was that, oh, I totally lost my train of thought on that one. My apologies, but yeah, the recommendations that you refer to on page 74, we've discussed those recommendations already. And it's one of those things that in order to be on side, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. McPhail, but your plan going forward to 2028 would potentially bring the village on side by 2028 with the PRA money if we move forward with this current budget plan.
Yes, with the PRA money, yep.
So the unfortunate fact is we might just have to be uncomfortably comfortable with being offside for this year, with looking at making potential changes in the future to help bring us onside and better streamline our organization.
And the other thing I would recommend as well, I've got, is to look at the asset management part too, because I do, we realize that in say 12 years or 11 years, 2035, the PRA monies may not be coming in.
Yeah.
And if in 11 years, if you don't do something about this, the village could be in real troubles. So you do have to deal with this shortfall in revenues. And unfortunately, your biggest tax base to the taxpayer is its residential, because you have no major industry or commercial industry. So it's a real struggle to balance the budget and provide the services that you do.
My final comment on this is just going to be that while is towards Councilor Whittle, while I understand where you're coming from, there are cuts that we could have made within this budget that were not made due to the decisions that council has moved forward to. And that's where that frustration comes in. I understand what you're saying. By 2028, we could potentially be there, but every year, some of the decisions we're making now are making things like asset management harder in the future. So that's where that frustration comes in.
Well, for example, if I may say that, you've increased your operating expenses by 165,000 this year by going for the another position and executive search. And if you decide to go that way, and which as council said, that's your biggest increase from last year. So you could be looking at right now, rather than a $30,000 surplus, a $200,000 surplus that you could be putting towards capital.
But my understanding, Mr. McPhail, it wouldn't even be a surplus. That would put us on side with the PRA money.
Yeah.
Yes, which is the overall goal. And we've just made $170,000 purchase that could have fixed that problem.
No, because that's out of capital.
No, right, that's off.
So that's out of capital. So that doesn't affect. Where you do have to think of when you're doing new capital purchases. Say if that truck say is going to last you say 15 or say 10 years, that command truck, the new command truck, to replace it, you're looking at $17,000 a year.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. McPhail. That's my final comment on that. Councillor Rabble?
Although I see no transfers to reserves, I don't see any transfers from reserves, which is a positive. But the other piece of financial stewardship, if I may, is okay, so there's the potential that the PRA could decrease or be eliminated down the road in 10 or 11 years. that is in the future, and absolutely we should plan for the future. However, we're in the now. This is not a time of prosperity, unfortunately. This is a time of increasing taxes by various levels of government that are hurting folks every single day. And bags of groceries, maybe 150, $50 a bag of groceries now when it used to be 20, and all this stuff. The cost of goods, everything is increasing. This is a time when folks are facing a cost of living crisis. And with that, I understand the desire to move towards having very, very balanced books where everything, money in, money out, it's all great. We can attain that, but we're not going to resolve many years of different decisions in a single year, in a single election cycle. It will take time. And we're here to do that hard work. But in the meantime, if we destroy the community, there will be nothing left in 10 years. I'm not saying that's what we're headed to, but I'm saying that is the risk. With businesses fleeing, with folks potentially not deciding to move to this village because we're eliminating slowly, chipping away the cost of living advantage of being in Poo-Scoopy. I think that we should look at and consider the now and say, is a 10% increase the appropriate step at this time? When folks do not just see this one increase, they're seeing many, many other increases in their lives. And this may not be the right time to do it, for this is not a time of prosperity. This is a time of suffering, and we have to
Councilor
consider
Rebel, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. If we do not raise the taxes by that 10%, we will literally be in the negative. We only have $30,000 by going offside with PRA money to even wiggle around with. If you do not raise taxes 10%, we will not have a balanced budget at all.
In previous years, they transferred from reserves. I'm not recommending you do that, but there are ways to balance. There are other cuts that could be made.
But none of the cuts that have been recommended have been made.
There was just an $18,000 slash to the library budget.
Yes, okay. Ms. Stokes, what is it that you're looking for us from this evening? Are you looking for any decision on taxation, or I don't see a full recommendation in there, so I'm just wanting to make sure that council is being as
I
efficient
will
as
defer to the CFO, thank you.
Well, it would be nice to have a tax rate nailed down so we can proceed.
Okay. All right, so with council having that information from staff, is there any recommendations for tax rates that council would like to put forward? Would they like to move forward with the 10% that's being shown here, or more or less? So that is a decision of council. Councilor Rabel?
My recommendation would be a 5% increase, keeping in our modest approach as previous years.
Okay, can I get a seconder for that motion?
Oh, second, we can discuss.
Okay, seconded by Councilor Johnston. Discussion regarding a 5% tax raise. My concern with that, as I said, Councilor Rabel, is now we are taking money from reserves. Reserves are one of the things that the community relies on, seeing as most of the interest that we gain off of that reserves helps us stay out of debt. So that puts us in a bit of a pickle. Councilor Woodall, yes, sorry.
Yeah, so I have to agree with Mayor Beach on this one. If we look at going under the recommended 10% that, it's in this report in front of us, we're just going to add more time to getting ourselves out of that PRA hole, which is a concern. So my recommendation would be to go with the report that staff's laid out in front of us.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Woodall. Councilor Rabel?
675 collected last year, 716 projected with 10%. Slash that in half, we're looking at less 25,000 potentially. We've already reduced 18. That's a few grand at this point. That's a few grand coming from folks that can't afford it right now, whereas we could help stabilize the situation and move forward with 5%.
I don't agree with you, Councilor Rabel, but that is, Councilor Whittle, do you have another comment?
Yeah, Ms. Stokes, question for staff, I guess. Does the village have a grant system or a relief system for people that are experiencing extreme hardship that they can apply for some sort of tax relief within the village?
Mr. Blair?
There is the family deferment tax through the province. It's the only one I can think of.
Okay, did you hear that, Councillor Whittle?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Rabble?
My concern is people not, just quietly leaving. That's my bigger concern.
And I understand that concern. My concern is this village not being able to financially sustain itself.
There's no village without people.
Councillor Whittle, you have a comment?
Yeah, so my comment on it is as callous as this is going to sound, I'm not overly concerned about people leaving the community, because the reality is where are they going to go? They're going to go to Dawson Creek, one of our neighboring communities that have a higher tax rate than what we do. And realistically, from anywhere in Pouce Coupe, within 5 to 10 minutes, you can reach any of the amenities within Dawson Creek, which is about the same travel time from one end of Dawson Creek to the other, giving traffic. So as callous as it might sound, there's not a cheaper option really within the Peace Country for anybody than what Pouce Coupe is now. And with the plan that we have in front of us, the increases going forward, this is the last big increase according to this plan, then it starts to decrease over time, and then we can wean ourselves off of it. So the unfortunate thing is if people are upset with the tax rates in Pouce Coupe, they move elsewhere, they're going to pay more in taxes than what they're already paying and have access to the exact same amenities for more money.
Thank you, Councillor Whittle. Any other discussion? Councillor Rabble?
I believe Pouce Coupe is a fantastic place to live. I think people come here for an affordable cost of living. I think they come here for our transparent, honest, and open government. And I think they come here with the belief of our forefathers, our forefounders, that said, hey, we're going to build this place. We're going to build it so that it's going to last. And absolutely, I believe that we can resolve these matters over the future. But now isn't the right time to slaughter the goose.
Okay, I'm going to put the question on the floor to Councillor Rabble's motion of raising taxes 5%. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councillor Whittle, are you?
Opposed?
Opposed, thank you. Would anybody like their opposed noted? No? Okay. I'd like to put the motion on the floor that we go with the recommended amount of raising taxes 10%, as recommended on this report. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnson, thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Rabble?
Obviously voicing my previous concerns as per this is a new motion.
Yeah, for sure. Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed noted.
Councillor Wall, Whittle, are you opposed or in favor?
I'm in favor.
Thank you, that motion passes. Is there any other motions that you would like us to move forward with this evening?
Is there any other direction in the budget as to changes, or are you going to approve it tonight?
Councillor Rabble?
Oh wait, we're not in a motion.
What's that, sorry?
We're not in a motion, sorry.
No. So council does have the option from staff to approve the budget as it has been presented this evening with everything that's on it. Oh, sorry, Councillor Whittle, I see that you have your hand up. Yes?
Yeah, so would the budget not have to be accepted as amended due to we made some changes to the amount that the library is requesting?
Yes?
As amended,
Yeah, okay. Yes, you are correct, Councillor Whittle, thank you. Sorry about that. I just need to make a note. Councillor Rabble?
And then there may be a line under general operating functions that may also change as well. Or I think that might have been forecasted.
Yeah, there are forecasted changes to this budget, but at this point in time, council's not moved forward with those yet. Those items will have to be added in after. I don't know how that works, Ms. Hills. Could we still approve it with the added from the closed?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
and most of that's already in the budget, is it not?
The majority of it
The
is already.
positions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already put them in the budget.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so it's up to council if you'd like to put the motion on the floor to accept this budget as amended.
Yeah, I'll make the recommendation that we accept the budget as amended.
Can I get a seconder on that motion? Councillor Johnston. Moving into discussion, I would just like to say I'm not in favor of this budget. This budget goes against the commitments that we as elected officials made. We are misusing the PRA money again. And I think that there are areas that could have been cut within the budget that council has chosen not to look at and not to make cuts to. And because of that, I will be voting opposed to this budget, as I do not feel that we are following what we'd originally agreed to within the community. Councillor Ravel?
I believe that there are further cuts that could be made within general government to save us on a variety of different budget lines. However, I trust that staff has prepared a proportional and balanced budget. My question therefore would be, as this budget is proposed, does it meet our legislative requirements and is fully funded?
Yes, by not using our PRA money the way the province wants us to be using it, yeah, it's fully funded. So.
It's my obligation to ask.
Councillor Whittle?
Yeah, so just for clarification, to be on full side with the PRA, to be where we need to be, we would need to literally double our taxes overnight. So no matter which way we slice it, we are not going to be 100% in compliance with where the PRA money should be at this point in time, because it's just not financially feasible for the village or capable to be able to do it at this point in time. So the unfortunate fact is, like I stated earlier, we're going to have to be uncomfortably comfortable with being offside again this year in order to look at the long-term gain.
Councillor Whittle, normally I would agree with you, but I must say that that is not true. Had we made the recommended cuts that have been recommended to us by our professionals, as well as moved some other numbers around within this budget, we could have balanced it while still being on side with the PRA. So normally I would agree with you. This evening, I do not.
So that would not be 100% in line with the PRA, to my understanding. Maybe staff could highlight, if we did implement their recommendations, we still wouldn't be on side with the amount of money where it's supposed to go, according to the initial agreement.
I'd have to go through the numbers again. We'd probably be a little bit offside, but we'd be much further ahead than we are right now. But at the same time, it's still progress compared to what it was even last year.
It would have been, yes. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Councillor Ravel?
I have been unable to obtain a copy of the PRA for my own review and comprehension. How would a member of this body go about obtaining a copy of the PRA?
PRA is publicly posted, is it not, Ms. Stokes?
I don't think so, but if he reaches out to me by email, I could get him a copy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you could let us know you were looking for one, we would be more happy than to send you a copy. Okay, so the motion on the floor is to accept the budget as amended. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed? Noted.
You do not want to accept this budget?
No.
Okay, Councillor Johnston?
I'd like to look at more.
Okay, I would like my opposed noted as well, so the budget is thus far not going through. Ms. McNair?
What direction does council want us to take to make changes to it?
Councillor Ravel?
What date should we set for an open house for public input and engagement on this budget?
Are you kidding?
We don't, every meeting
We
is an
don't
open
have
meeting.
time.
As well, as per legislative requirements, there needs to be opportunities for public input and engagement, and that is up to
That's what
council.
these meetings are. These meetings are open to the public, Councillor Rebel. There's a question period at the end of this meeting. I understand what you're saying, and while I think that the public input would be fantastic at this point in time, we don't have time to hold an open house. We have time to have people attend our budget meetings. We have time to have them ask questions at the end of our budget meeting. But again, holding an open house is going to cost us money. We have to pay staff overtime. We have to keep these buildings open. It's not free. It doesn't come from nothing. We're already working with a very difficult budget. And so an open house at this point would not make sense. Having the public attend these budget meetings, that's the best way that we can engage with them. Having them engage online with us or reach out to us after they've seen the videos is another great way. We do not have time to have an open house. I'm sorry, Councillor Rabel. Councillor Rabel.
I'd like to express my concern that because the numbers were not available previously, and potentially this might be the first opportunity that the public has been able to review these numbers that will be published within the minutes. I'm wondering if we're in compliance with our legislative requirements regarding public engagement for moving this budget forward.
This budget has been available since last week online.
The budget has been available every time the agenda is published.
Yes. This has been available. This is our third time looking at this same budget. We've looked at this budget at 3 other meetings. That's weeks. That's weeks of meeting and weeks of opportunity for the public. Councillor Johnson, you've mentioned that you would like to have a moment to look back at the budget. Is there any recommendations that you would like to make?
It's just, we're already locked in with the museum and that. We've already approved all those budgets, so I think I was just wondering what else we could actually move them.
Those were the areas that I had brought up for
But
reconsideration.
they're already long
Yes.
past. That was all what I was looking for.
Okay. There are no recommendations being made by council for changes that they would like to make to this budget, but yet the
You
budget
answered
is.
my question.
Okay, so at this,
So the same budget comes back for adoption next meeting?
are we going to need to hold a special meeting? I'm really, at this point in time, I'm not quite too sure what direction council would like to go.
Well, if there's no changes recommended,
It's the exact same budget that will be coming back. As I said, the items that I had up for reconsideration were ways that I was looking to balance the budget and get us on side with the PRA. Reconsideration was not seconded and onto the floor, so at this point in time, I have no direction in what direction the council can go
We
to.
make another recommendation tonight to accept the budget as presented, or
Okay.
are we past that?
can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
We have people in the gallery. I'm assuming you're all here because of the budget. You all have questions regarding the budget?
I have a couple comments.
Okay, I just wanna ask. You are within your right to move the question period up if you want. Before you make another recommendation to adopt the budget, maybe you wanna hear what the people that have come
Yes, I
have to
would love
say.
that, actually.
So why doesn't council make a motion to move the question period to now instead of later? And then you can.
I would like to put the motion on the floor that we move the question period to now to hear from members that are in the gallery who've been waiting to speak regarding the budget before making another recommendation regarding this budget. Can I get a seconder on that motion? Councillor Rabel, thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor? Are you in favor? Councillor Whittle?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to move it to the public, so just like our regular council meetings, if you have a question, I'm just gonna ask you to raise your hand, and then that way everybody can have an opportunity to speak. So if you have a question or comment, please raise your hand and make it. Okay, Matt?
I think it's great that you guys are very interested in community involvement for parks and other things, but I'm pretty disgusted that we're looking at spending $200,000 on another fire truck when there's people who can't buy food in this village. Property taxes are going up. No one's going to be thrilled about that. I would challenge you to have an open house, or however you want to do it, on if we should get a new fire truck. That's things that people care about, not a park. Everyone wants a park. Would they like input on it? Absolutely. But when I see a brand new fire truck and a police station that's, as far as I know, never seen a policeman in it, we keep spending money on these things and we jump on them. And I understand that it comes out of different buckets, but you're taking it out of the same river. That's all I would say, is we're fighting over cutting money from the library and the wherever else, but we're blindly happy to buy a $150,000 to $200,000 truck when there's a very nice one out there that anyone in this village would be pretty happy to drive. And that's the end of what I have to say.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? Mr. Grant?
This guy just about beat me to the draw. But I do appreciate the opportunity to speak up, and I appreciate the work that you guys do and the commitment that you make. But I had a lot to say, but I'll cut it short. $170,000 truck to help bring the dirty fire hoses back and move the crew around, the volunteer crew around, is nothing more than a cruel joke. The other thing that's a big expense is the playground outside. I don't know much about the playground. I don't know how many days a year it's used, how much participation there is there. It would be a great community project, which I myself would be interested in getting involved in. And the fact of spending that kind of money on that kind of facility, to me, is right out of the park. Those are my two things which brought me here for one more meeting.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the gallery? Okay. Thank you very much. We will move back to recommendation regarding this agenda. What direction would council like to go?
Robert's rules, what do we do? Do we do a motion?
I'm not willing to approve or agree to this agenda. I'm sorry, I don't know what direction we're gonna go. I can't bring an item back for reconsideration a third time, so I no longer have an opportunity to do that. So at this point in time, Ms. Stokes?
Staff will be at a loss as to what we're supposed to bring back on April 17th if you don't have any recommendations or changes to this budget.
So I can't bring something back for reconsideration again. Can I look at taking certain amounts from budget items? Like I know I can't change the museum budget, I understand that, but could I remove an item? Is there another way that I could find a way for council to not reconsider, but approve? I don't even know how to word it. I'm sorry. I'm at a complete loss. I don't know. Councillor Ravel?
I don't know if we have to be in a motion. I think we could look at brass tacks. What are the sticking points? Mine is cost of living. Things are going up. Tax increases.
You already made the motion on the taxes.
Sorry, what I'm trying to do is just do a canvassing of where the sticking points are. If we can sort out the sticking points, then we come to an agreement and an understanding of how we move forward, right? We have to have a budget. That's why we're still holding a discussion outside of a motion. But essentially, I would state that my sticking points are cost of living, and then the cost of providing, government services. It sounds like some of the other members have concerns regarding getting on side with PRA, so that we'd need more revenue and cutting expenses. So it sounds like, okay, we need to cut some expenses, either balance or increase revenue. So, therefore, if we need to increase revenue, but the tax is a sticking point, and we need to decrease spending, but we can't figure out which line to cut. Therefore, I make the motion to direct staff to take into consideration the motions that were made tonight regarding the various cuts and the other factors that were held and closed, and to present a budget where, damn it, I'm at a loss there, because what do we do? 5% didn't work, 10% didn't work.
Well, we did agree to 10%.
10% was already agreed on.
10% is
Okay.
what has been agreed on.
All right, so there's some direction there. You guys said 10%. It's not my favorite, but all right, you said 10%. There's your revenue piece, your expenditures piece. You already said you're taking 18 from the library, and I don't know where else we could possibly cut. You know, because the park isn't even mentioned in this, I don't believe. I don't think it's a part of anything that's been budgeted right now.
No, it's not. We're hoping, as I said, we're looking for that to be grant dependent, as in it's funded from outside of the community.
Corporate and grant funding.
Yes.
So
We already approved the fire truck.
and the
Well, I can't bring anything back for reconsideration a third time. I can only do it once. So, I think honestly, your hands are tied. I don't know what else to say at this point. Unless there's a way that we, yeah, I don't know.
So then on April 17th, we'll be bringing back the same budget.
I think at this point in time, council, we have too many questions in our head and there's too much back and forth going on. I think that at this point in time, we need to just receive this for information, sit on it for another few weeks, going into the next meeting knowing that we are going to have to make a decision. So take this home, look at it, see if you can find any wiggle room based off of the decisions and the information that you've gathered this evening and the choices that have been made in closed and stuff. You need to make that consideration as well. And a decision is going to have to be made at the next meeting, Ms. Stokes.
And again, we're going to ask everyone to please email us so that they can work with the questions, so that we have the answers for you at the next meeting.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of receiving for information?
I need a seconder on that one.
Oh, second, Councillor Rabble, thank you. Any opposed on receiving this for information? None. Thank you. Okay, correspondence. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to lift?
9.1, the council receives the response letter from the city of Dawson Creek regarding the letter of support for the NCLGA resolution as information.
Seconder, Councillor Johnston, thank you. Councillor Rabble?
I appreciate that the city of Dawson Creek Council has given us this letter to essentially state, hey, your resolution looks, the spirit of your resolution is good stuff, but unfortunately the wording was too vague. Therefore, how do we proceed? Do we amend it? Will the NCLGA come back to us, the board of the NCLGA, and say, hey, this resolution doesn't fit, it's not compelling us to do anything except lobby? Do we wait for my question is, do we wait for the NCLGA board to come back to us, or can we as a body amend this resolution and resubmit it because we're still we already met the timeline for submission, but we can hopefully make alterations?
So this is not NCLJ that has a problem. We met all the parameters of NCLJ. This is just Dawson Creek. They're not understanding exactly what the resolution is. That has nothing to do with NCLJ. NCLJ shall receive this resolution that has been put forward and they will understand it. It meets the prime, it's been accepted.
I don't know if it's
So,
forward to the next step, but it has been.
yeah. So it's just that Dawson Creek didn't quite understand exactly what was being asked. Councillor Rabble?
In the spirit of cooperating with our neighbor municipality, I put the motion on the floor that we send the councillor who created this resolution to speak with the Dawson Creek Council so that that person could be able to convey the context of this resolution.
You'll be able to do that at NCLGA.
Yeah. Like, their letter of support doesn't sway anything with the resolution. It can sway when it comes to voting. He's more than welcome to previously speak to them before the NCLGA.
And they state that in their letter.
And they state that in their letter, yeah. Their letter of support will not sway the vote at the NCLGA. It's just letting the communities know that they have an opportunity to support a resolution that's coming up. So it's not really a motion that's needed. And Councillor Wall is more than welcome to reach out. There doesn't really need to be, he doesn't need to go to council and present to them. They're not voting on the resolution at this point. Their vote doesn't happen until NCLGA. So he's got more than enough time so he can reach out to them via telephone or email and try to explain it a bit more than prior to the NCLGA, so he's sure that they have all the information before they vote. Councillor Rebel.
My concern is because this resolution pertains to the province consulting municipalities because the province makes decisions that can impact resource-based sectors, they should consult with the municipalities. Meaningful consultation. If one municipality sends us a letter saying, hey, we really didn't get what your point was, that's a concern. That's the one that sent it. What about the 99 that went, what is this, and ignored it completely, potentially, right? This is a warning flag that this resolution isn't gaining traction with folks, and I think that we need to do a course correction on it so that when it is actually available at the NCLGA, it doesn't just fall flat on its face. It's something that doesn't have any teeth. That's my concern. This is a warning flag.
I understand what you're saying, but again, the resolution has to be written in such a way to meet the parameters of the NCLGA, which it did meet. So I would hate to begin removing it after it's already been accepted, which you can't really do, and then amending it. Yeah, Ms. Stokes is nothing.
Okay, so if you go to the next letter, that's a letter saying that they do support it.
Yes.
They understood it. And third, at NCLGA, just like UBCM, the person who puts forward the resolution or the municipality has a chance to go up to the mic and explain the resolution. At this point in time, there's not much you can do because the resolution has been submitted to NCLGA and it's going through the process right now.
So maybe we should just hold off.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, it's a very close to heart thing, you know,
I know.
resource-based sector jobs, and the province is making a lot of sweeping changes. I think they should actually consult the people that they're impacting.
Okay, all those in favor of receiving it for information? All those opposed? None? Okay. Is there anything else anybody would like to lift? No? Okay, all those in favor of receiving items 9.2, 9.3, 9.4, 9.5, 9.6, 9.7 for information. Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. Okay. Bylaws. 10.1 recommendation.
Recommend that council receives bylaw 1055-2024, consumption of liquor in public places and information.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Rabble?
I appreciate staff's diligent work on creating this bylaw. I think there were two spheres, and I do apologize, I didn't respond to that email. You had sent the CAO had sent me an email asking for input. I was unable to provide input before this meeting. There were two spirits that we were going for. One was a policy simply that I was asking to have moved forward, which was a policy simply to create a clear process for folks who are hosting an event on municipally owned land to obtain a alcohol permit and essentially a policy. This is a bylaw that is working off of other municipalities that have legalized alcohol consumption on publicly owned lands, but this one is stating excluding parks. Once again, I think we should have some public input on this matter.
So it's not excluding parks, it's
Including the parks.
It's including parks, but within the province, you know what, Ms. Stokes, go for it.
I just need to make a statement that, consumption of liquor in public places is a bylaw, not a policy. I conferred with our legal counsel on this one.
And so this
It
is
has
just,
to follow the Liquor Control and Licensing Act.
yes, and so this is like they can drink at the baseball diamonds, they can drink down at Coos Park, they're not allowed to drink within 10 meters
30 meters.
30 meters of a public playground. So in the circles of the areas, that's showing, yeah. So they're not able, what is this? So this is the school, right? So within the circle, they can drink or they can't drink?
They cannot drink.
They cannot drink. So they can't drink at this baseball diamond because it's right next to the playground that's right here, but they can drink at this one. Does that make sense? They can drink over here where the gazebo is in Poos Park if they were to rent it for a wedding, but they can't drink next to the slide. So it's like understanding that aspect of it, and that's not up to us, that's a province thing, we don't get a say in that. Councillor Rebel.
Are these maps for referential purposes only, or are they binding to this bylaw?
No, for referential purposes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions or discussion? So at this point in time, council can make the decision to begin moving forward with this bylaw, or they can just receive it for information. What would council like to do?
I'll make a motion to move forward.
Okay, can I get a seconder on that motion?
Moving forward with what?
Moving forward with accepting the bylaw, is that what you're moving forward with?
Yeah.
Yes. So you can move it in for second and third reading?
Not tonight.
No.
No.
Okay.
Who seconded it?
Who's seconding that?
Nobody.
Okay,
All right.
there you go, we're all jumping up.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion? Councillor Rabble?
Because there's the sign piece to this, that seems like that would have a cost to the village. I think there would be some additional expenses associated with, well, bylaw enforcement would already have to patrol these areas. I'm curious as to the expenses that the village would incur in regards to complying with this bylaw, and like signage, for example. It's probably minimal, but it would be a cost.
It's gonna be expensive.
My concern with doing that as well, Councillor Rabble, is that staff has been working on this for 3 months. What about the expense that was incurred with that?
No, we've been working on this for a year.
Oh, sorry, 12 months. What about the expense that was incurred with that? That's something that should have been thought of 12 months ago. Okay, the motion on the floor is to accept this and move it forward. It's been seconded by Councillor Rabble. All those in favor? Councillor Whittle, are you in favor or opposed?
You know what, at this point in time, I'm going to vote opposed to it because I'd like to see this go out to public survey as well.
Okay. And I'm opposed to it. Yeah, so,
I'm opposed to it right now as well.
So it's 4 opposed?
yeah, I guess so, yep. Councillor Rebel.
Is it possible to make the motion to accept his information and move it to opportunity for public input?
Yeah.
Okay, I make that motion.
You need a motion?
Again, please.
I make the motion to accept the draft bylaw 1055/2024 consumption of liquor in public places as information, and then that staff worked to obtain public input through methods.
Through which methods?
Online survey?
Survey, I guess, because open houses don't work.
They are expensive. Okay.
Fair.
Can I get a seconder on that motion?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
There you go, Councillor Whittle, thank you. All those in favor? You in favor, Councillor Whittle?
Yep.
Okay, perfect, thank you. That's unanimous and carried.
Okay.
CAO report, it's exactly as stated.
Yes, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. Moving on to action items, anything anybody wants to talk about? Ms. Stokes?
I just wanna note that the south piece, and I'm gonna get it wrong, health, it's not society, it's the other,
It's the committee?
south piece, health. The people that Councillor Rabble heard,
Yes.
have gotten back to me, and they will be coming as a delegation in July.
Wonderful.
And it did get added to this list, but I have added it to the next one, just so you know.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have special and capital projects because we've not approved our budget. Moving on to council calendars. Anybody away in April? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Marcel, where are you going to? Councilor Whittle, where are you going to?
I'm coming home on the 22nd.
Oh, that's a step in the right direction. Okay. Anybody? Councilor Rebel?
I will be away, I believe somewhere around April 28th to about May 3rd, let's say. I'll be in Calgary for a conference related to another role.
Kate, will you be
For the
able?
May 1st meeting?
No,
Are you available by Zoom?
it's a conference with another role I serve in, so I'd have to clarify.
Okay. Anybody gone in May?
Yeah, the end of May, but it won't affect any meetings.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Councillor Ravel?
Mid-May in CLGA.
Yeah, me and you were gone for that one. There is a council meeting. Right, do you need a motion to move that meeting? Or reschedule it? No, as we're just in a whole hairy canary?
Well, yes. When would you like to move it to?
Let's move it to the 22nd.
The week after?
Yeah.
Then we can bring it
It
forward
doesn't give me
exciting
time
stuff.
to get an agenda done,
Oh, yeah, right,
because I'm with you guys and it's a long weekend.
right. Okay, so I guess we're moving it to the 8th. Or the, no, 29th, he's gone, he just said that. Sure, not affecting anything.
I'm supposed to be gone now, too. Same thing, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you like to reschedule it to the 8th?
Yeah, let's, I put the motion on the floor that we move the May 15th meeting to May 8th. Can I get a seconder?
So I'm going to be out of town May 7th to 11th.
You're killing me. Can you come via Zoom?
Yes, I'll be in Prince George working, so yeah, I can attend via Zoom.
All right, let's keep it for the 8th. Who seconded that? Councillor Johnston did.
Anyways, it's 8th. You put 8th on the floor.
No. Well, if we do it for the 29th, then Councillor Johnston's gone.
Ah.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
I'll be opposed. I prefer the 22nd. I think we could bring forward some really exciting stuff. I understand there's a long weekend in there, but
Yeah, they won't,
Why would you like the agenda done?
yeah, they want to
They
take
want
you
to
the
time to
agenda.
do the agenda. sheet.
Councillor, Whittle, were you in favor or opposed?
With the understanding of that it's, with the agenda, it's not going to be available for the 22nd, I will vote in favor of this motion to move it to the 8th.
Thank you. Councillor Rabb, would you like your opposed noted?
sure. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We're gonna speed read our reports. It's been spring break.
Is everybody in favor of that?
Oh yeah, all those in favor? Sorry guys, it's like 10 minutes from when I go to bed.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone of the opposed noted. Okay, item number 12, reports. Councillor Johnson, speak fast.
I have nothing to report.
Thank
I'm
God.
on vacation.
Councillor Rabble, speak fast.
Honestly, things are in the works and a bunch of meetings are actually happening like tomorrow and Friday. So yeah, nothing at this time.
Councillor Wall is away. Councillor Whittle?
Nothing at this time. When I do get home, I do have plans to meet up with the RCMP detachment commander for a coffee and also touch base with the fire chief as well.
Okay, thank you. My report's pretty simple. I was on spring break with my kids. I traveled a little bit, so since I got back, I've met with the staff. I've been working on the budget stuff, answering emails and setting up meetings. My meetings don't really begin for me as well until tomorrow and Friday. It's a slow restart to things. So other than that, I'm just kind of getting back into it. Question period. Does anybody have anything
We
they want
already
to add?
did.
Already
Yeah.
did question.
We
We
did.
already did it. Rise and report none.
Yes?
Oh God. Garbage truck. Yes, I rise and report that, Element Disposal has been awarded the disposal contract with the village of Poos Koopy. Do I put in the amount?
3 years.
No, for a period of 3 years.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. I'm like, oh, I'm tired. Okay. Thanks guys for sticking it out. Man, oh man. You guys are worn out to death. We're all gonna be walking out here like zombies.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thanks, Marcel. Have a good night.
Yeah, and I'll be in on the next meeting via Zoom as well.
Marcel.
Thanks.
Oh, Brett, stop. Hold it. Go over to
Oh God, where did my first page go?